Hello, I'm Beverly Thompson. Welcome to City Life, dedicated to keeping you informed on Durham's important news and events. For the next year or so, motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists will need to be on their toes to navigate through some major construction projects affecting West Main Street. These three projects, one by the City of Durham and the other two by the North Carolina Department of Transportation, will ultimately improve both our city's water system and this major roadway. Joining me to discuss these projects and why they are needed are Jim Harding and Dennis Jernigan. Jim is with the city's water management department and Dennis is with the NCDOT. Welcome, Jim and Dennis. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good to be here.
So Jim, let's just get started with you, since the waterline project actually got started in February on West Main Street near Duke University's East Campus. Give our viewers a little background as to why this project is needed and where the work will be located.
Sure. The original water lines serving most of downtown were put in more than a century ago, starting up at our water treatment plant and going down through downtown. The lines have served us very well, but it's time to replace them. The project itself is mostly along West Main Street, starting at Rutherford near Irwin Square, going all the way down West Main to Buchanan near Brightleaf. Definitely a water main that is needed to be replaced.
After 100 years, huh?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. Well, how long is this project expected to take, and why will it take so long to do it?
Well, we're installing more than a mile of large water main. Anytime you're digging in the street itself, we deal with traffic control, other utilities. So we've given the contractor about 8 months. As you said, it started in mid-February, so it'll be around September or October. Hopefully we'll be finishing up.
Okay. Well, is West Main Street the only area that's going to receive new water lines, or will other streets be affected as well?
Sure. Most of the project is along West Main, but there are several interconnections that we will have to make to backfeed the grid. That's 9th Street, Iredell, Campus Drive, and Buchanan Peabody intersection. Most of the work will be done during the daylight hours from about 7 in the morning till 6 in the evening. Some weekend work or even nighttime work at key intersections, though, will be done. If there are any detours necessary, they will be posted.
Okay. Well, I was just going to ask you about that. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, especially those who drive through this area, how traffic's going to be impacted.
Our intent is to maintain at least one lane of traffic in each direction. The barricades will be set up to maintain safety. The contractor will work behind them. But as I said, some of the intersections will be impacted, mostly at nighttime.
Okay. Well, let's talk about these other streets that are going to have the smaller pipes put in. How will traffic be impacted as well on those streets?
Again, mostly it'll be similar to what we do on West Main Street, although some on-street parking as well as some local closures will have to take place. There's a small water line on Perry Street, so we'll probably take that and close that altogether.
So they'll have reduced lanes as well, or?
No, there'll probably be a total closure on Perry, but some of the smaller streets will have a total closure while we're trying to maintain traffic on West Main Street.
Okay. Well, Dennis's next question is for you. Okay. Many of our viewers may not realize that there are actually 3 separate projects that are planned for this area, with 2 of the projects being overseen by your agency, NCDOT. Let's start with the Main Street bridge replacement project. Why does this bridge need to be replaced? In fact, a lot of people probably don't even know there's a bridge there.
It blends in well with the surroundings. The current bridge was built in 1950, and as part of DOT's bridge program, each bridge is evaluated every other year to determine whether or not it meets a certain sufficiency rating. And once the sufficiency rating drops below a certain point, or once it becomes what we call functionally obsolete, which is how it functions in regards to traffic conditions and those kinds of things, then once it drops below a certain level, then it becomes a candidate for replacement. So built in 1950, this bridge is approaching 62 years old.
That's pretty old for a bridge, huh?
Right.
It is. Okay. Well, why can't you start work on this bridge right away?
The City of Durham has 2 water lines that are attached to the underside of this bridge. There's a 12-inch line and a 20-inch line. And we can't remove the existing bridge until the water lines are out of service. The city can't take those water lines out of service until they make certain progress in accordance with the project that Jim was just mentioning. Once they get to points east and west of the bridge where they can tie in and bypass those existing lines, then we can take those out of service and take down the existing structure.
So Dennis, how will the new bridge look as compared to the existing bridge that we have now?
The existing bridge is a 30-foot long, 60-foot wide structure. The replacement structure will be 80 feet long, 60 feet wide. And the abutment walls, the free expression walls, if you will, that line Campus Drive will be reduced in height. The elevation will be cut down a little bit because the new structure is a little deeper than the existing structure. And also the masonry wall that lines West Main Street will be, part of it will be removed for the construction, but then once construction's over, it will be put back in similar to its pre-construction condition to match what is there now. The bridge rail for the new bridge will be a little bit different than what you're accustomed to seeing, but for the most part, it will blend in well, hopefully, with just like the one that's there now.
Okay. So once you finalize your construction schedule and the project gets underway, what can our viewers expect?
Okay. Our project will start with closures of Main Street, West Main Street at Broad Street and Buchanan. So in between there, the road will be closed. There will be limited access where Campus Drive comes up to West Main Street. There will be limited access on the east side of the existing bridge, but for the most part, that road will be closed. There will also be some paving taking place once at the end of the project to coincide with or to follow up on some of the city's waterline work, and that paving will go back to 9th Street. It will go just east of Buchanan, close to Peabody, and there will also be some paving that goes from Main Street, West Main Street, down Swift Avenue. Okay,
all right. Dennis, earlier we talked about how the city's waterline project is not going to close Main Street, but reduce it to 2 lanes. However, I noticed that that's not the case with the bridge replacement project. Can you tell our viewers what to expect when they're traveling in this area once the bridge project actually gets started?
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, the West Main Street will be closed between Broad Street and Buchanan, Broad Street and Swift Avenue and Buchanan, with the exception of the limited access for Campus Drive. Will be a full closure. Detours will be signed. They will include Swift Avenue, NC 147, and then Duke Street or Gregson Street, depending on which direction you're traveling. Then at the end of our project, we're going to stripe this area into a 3-lane section. There will be 1 lane in each direction with bike lanes on the outside.
Okay, so it'll look a little different than people are used to now, huh?
It absolutely will.
Yeah, okay. And how long will this project actually take?
We have not currently decided that. We are working in close coordination with the City of Durham, with Duke University, with the railroad, who also border this project on one side. We want to time both our construction schedule, our project duration, and when we make it available to the contractor to coincide with what's best for our stakeholders. We're also working in conjunction with the public, communicating in part with Durham, and we will have certain public information efforts that come out of our office as well, so that when we get close to getting our project ready to put out on the street, we'll advise the citizens and businesses that we're about to go to work.
Thank you both for joining me today to tell our viewers more about this very important project that's affecting downtown Durham.
Thank you for the opportunity to share this information with your viewers.
Thank you. Yes. Well, we're going to take a quick break now, but coming up in the next segment, we're going to take a closer look at the impact to the area surrounding this project and how you can keep up to date on both of these projects and their progress. We'll be right back.
Every child is curious.
George, look what I found.
Turn their curiosity into a lifelong love of learning. Create a curious reader.
This is super bedtime reading.
Share a book together today. Visit read.gov.
For every one of these spots, there are at least 5 to 24 others for you to use. Many folks think that people with disabilities are getting special treatment with these parking spaces, but it's really a safety issue, not a convenience. Many drivers backing out of a parking space can't see a person with a disability. Remember, accessible parking is a civil right built on safety. For more information, call the Americans with Disabilities Act Information Center at 800-949-4232.
Yeah, I'm almost there. I just gotta find that cross street.
Whoa! Stop!
Solid waste collection employees have the 5th highest fatality rate in the United States, but there are other people who care about them.
He's my husband.
He's my brother.
He's my dad.
He's my son.
Be alert, watch the road, and slow down to get around. This message is brought to you by the National Solid Waste Management Association and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration.
Good morning, Mike.
Try data, commute a little easier.
There's a place, not so far away, a place where you don't have to keep the volume down. You'll find all sorts of creatures in this place without have to. The silly you, the proud you. You may even meet the curious you.
It's tickling me! You!
Ask your parents to take you to this not so far away place. Come to the forest, where the other you lives. But first, stop by discovertheforest.org.
Without gun violence, people are whole. Without gun violence, families are intact. Without gun violence, communities are solid. Without gun violence, futures are secure.
Together, we can reverse the effects of gun violence in our community.
Join Project Safe Neighborhoods campaign in the fight against gun crime.
A message from the City of Durham Police Department.
Get on board the Bull City Connector, a fare-free route connecting Durham from the innovation of Duke to the history of downtown to the creativity of Golden Belt. The Bull City Connector is fare-free, frequent, and fun, connecting visitors, business travelers, students, and downtown workers to key destinations in and around Durham. So get on board the Bull City Connector Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to midnight, plus Saturdays and holidays. For more information, call 485-RIDE or visit bullcityconnector.org.
Coming! Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas. I'm from your credit card company. We suspect several unauthorized transactions on your card.
Really? My credit card company?
Yes, and we care about your security, so we make house calls. Good news is you give me your social security number, and we'll take care of you.
Is that all you need?
Oh, not quite. We also need your PIN number. I forgot.
What's that on your back?
Nothing.
Oh, I get it. You're fishing for my personal information, right?
No.
So you can steal my identity, right?
No.
Then how come you have a fin sticking out of your back? Honey, get my tackle box and rod.
OnGuardOnline.gov has tips to help you guard against internet fraud, to secure your computer, and protect your personal information. To be more secure online, log on to OnGuardOnline.gov. Stop, think, click.
Welcome back to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson, your host. West Main Street near Duke University's East Campus is undergoing some major construction work, all aimed at improving the city's water distribution system and the safety of the bridge that carries hundreds of vehicles each day. Joining me to talk about what to expect and how you can stay up to date on this project is Mark Ahrendsen. Mark is with the city's Transportation Department. Welcome, Mark, and thank you so much for joining me. Mark, in the first segment, we got some project specifics from the city's Water Management Department and NCDOT. But this is a very busy section of our city, and the project is going to impact motorists, bus riders, cyclists, pedestrians, and business owners in the area, as well as staff and students of Duke. Can you give us a few more details about what to expect during the city's waterline project?
Sure, Beverly. Clearly there will be some impacts to Main Street with any construction project like this. Fortunately, the Main Street will remain open to traffic. The contractor is going to be putting water lines in part of Main Street, and as a result, it's going to have to close part of the street, basically about half of Main Street. They'll do this in sections between 9th Street and Buchanan or Peabody Street, and will close about half the street while they're doing the water line construction work. The other half, in essence, one lane in each direction, will remain open to traffic. The sidewalk will also remain open while the project is under construction. So motorists will still be able to travel along Main Street, but they will experience some delay, probably at the intersections, as they travel through there.
Okay, all right. Well, I think some motorists will be glad to hear that. At least they can plan ahead and at least know to expect, you know, some delays there.
Absolutely, and the contractor has to maintain access to the businesses that are located along along the construction zone. Even there may be when they do have to close a driveway for a very short period of time, they'll try to do that work in off-peak hours, like evenings or weekends.
Okay, that's good planning. Mark, the NCDOT project to replace the West Main Street Bridge at Campus Drive is going to be just a little bit trickier though, right? Especially for people traveling in the area. Give us a few more details on the impact of that project.
Well, you are right. The bridge closure, bridge project is going to have more of a significant impact because it's actually going to have to close Main Street to traffic altogether. And that closure will be between Broad Street and Buchanan, with limited access provided to the Duke East campus, the destinations on campus. But there'll be no through traffic that will be allowed because obviously the bridge has to be removed and demolished and then replaced with a new bridge. So there'll be no traffic on Main Street between Broad and Buchanan during that bridge replacement project. Now there will be a detour that's set up when the street is closed. There'll be an official detour which will use Swift Avenue, NC 147 to Chapel Hill Street and Duke Street. And then if you're going westbound, the detour will be Main Street to Gregson, Chapel Hill to 147, back to Swift and to Main Street. So basically people will use 147 as the official detour around the closed Main Street. But quite honestly, we also expect as motorists get familiar with the closure, they'll find other routes as well.
And figure out a different way, huh?
More than likely, many people will probably use the nearest detour, which would be Buchanan, Markham, Broad, and 9th Street. And so we, as in the Transportation Department working with NCDOT, expect that we're going to make some adjustments to the signals along those streets to better accommodate some of this extra traffic that we expect to see on those streets during the closure.
And what about signage? I know you're going to put up a lot of signage
Absolutely. There'll be additional signage that'll be placed up to direct people around the closed Main Street, so to show them the official detour.
Okay. Now, I know the NCDOT project will have a third component, which will be the repaving of a portion of the West Main Street area once the bridge is complete. How will this project impact the area?
Actually, the repaving impact will be somewhat similar to the waterline project in that the street will be open, but it will probably be reduced from 4 to 2 lanes while the repaving is going on. So once the bridge project is completed and the bridge is open to traffic, then the repaving could take place, and there will be at least 1 lane in each direction that will be open while the repaving project goes on. And that will be a relatively short period of time. We're not talking about weeks, it's more a matter of days on something like that. And the repaving would extend from 9th Street to Buchanan.
So very definitely toward the end or at the end of the project.
And it would be at the end. Obviously the first thing is the city's waterline project. That would be followed by the bridge project, and then when that's completed and open to traffic, the repaving would take place.
Okay. Now, I would imagine that both projects are going to have a pretty significant impact on the Bull City Connector.
Well, they are.
Well. What's the plan for the riders?
Bridge, obviously, more significantly with the closure. The Bull City Connector travels up and down Main Street in front of East Campus every 15 minutes during the day and every 20 minutes at night and on Saturdays. Obviously, it will be affected by the waterline project because rather than 2 lanes in each direction, there'll only be 1, but it will still continue to operate on Main Street. There will still be stops near Buchanan, near Campus Drive, near 9th Street and Broad Street. There will be gaps in the construction barricades so that pedestrians will be able to access the Bull City Connector as it travels through the one lane in each direction on Main Street. So the bottom line is for the waterline project, it will continue, the Bull City Connector will continue to operate on Main Street, somewhat inconvenienced with one lane in each direction. Same won't be true with the bridge replacement project. Again, with the closure, it will no longer be able to travel on Main Street, and as a result will follow a detour. We're working with Triangle Transit Authority to finalize the detour, but it's expected that it will travel along Buchanan, Markham, and either Broad or 9th Street in lieu of traveling along Main Street. As a result, it will probably go to every 20 minutes rather than every 15 minutes, because that will add some extra travel time over what it would normally experience just traveling on Main Street. So again, it will probably be about every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes instead of 15.
Correct.
Okay, well, Mark, I know there are a lot of businesses in this area, as well as neighborhoods and staff and students at Duke. What are we doing to reach out to those different groups to let them know about this upcoming work?
Well, I know the city's water management department has been working very hard on this to try to reach out to folks. They've, through email, contacting neighbors and businesses, face-to-face meetings with many different business owners. They're sending written communication out to those who will be affected by the project, who will have either near the project or have their access affected. So they're trying to get the word out both through email, through face-to-face meetings, and other written communication. So there's been quite a bit that's gone out and will continue to go out as the project moves along. I think we've also got, we've provided updates to City Council so they're aware of what's going on. This show hopefully is a way to help communicate to those about what's coming up on this on these projects. We'll also be working with the Durham Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Duke University. They'll have their communication plan together to notify their students and faculty and staff. We'll work with the 9th Street Merchants Association, Brightleaf Merchants Association, so that quite a bit of any venue that can be used. I think we're trying to get the word out. And then I think the same will be true for the bridge project as well, as we know more about that project. I think Dennis may have talked to you earlier about this, that since that project will follow the waterline project, there's still some details that we don't know yet.
Right.
And those will be firmed up in the coming months as they finalize the plans for that project, and certainly as those details are known, those will be communicated to the people who will be affected by the project as well.
Okay. Did we mention Operation Greenlight, Durham Operation Greenlight as a website address?
We didn't, but that is one. You're absolutely right. Operation Greenlight will be one. The website will be one.
Okay. All right. Mark, in addition to motorists and residents living in this area, I know the project's going to have an impact on pedestrians and cyclists as well. What provisions are we making to make sure they can still navigate this area?
You're right. We do have a lot of both of those along the Main Street corridor, both bicyclists, because it's from the East Campus. It's convenient to the downtown area, as well as pedestrians. For the waterline project, since the construction work is actually taking place in the street, the sidewalk will remain open. So pedestrians will still be able to navigate along the sidewalk on Main Street. Bicyclists, it will be narrowed, reduced to one lane in each direction, so bicyclists will have to share the travel lane along Main Street. Again, the impact will be greater for the bridge project because it will be closed, so cyclists won't be able to go through there. But pedestrian access will continue to be maintained all along Main Street, and near the bridge where the closure will actually take place, pedestrians will be able to actually use the trail, the pedestrian path on the Duke East campus to continue their movement, pedestrian movement along Main Street.
Okay. You know, Mark, this seems like this is just a real good partnership between the city and NCDOT for communicating on this project. Why is the city so involved with working with DOT with their outreach efforts to educate people, inform people about the significance of this project?
Well, it is a significant project, and it's going to affect, as we talked about earlier, a lot of businesses, a lot of residents, both who will be affected directly by the project and those who will be affected by the traffic that will be detoured from the project. So we and DOT want to get the word out to people so that they are aware of it, that they aren't surprised, that they are not surprised by the increase in traffic that they may see on Buchanan and Markham and Ninth Street and Broad Street, and so that they are aware of when the closures will be coming, when the lanes will be narrowed, when their business may be affected, because that may change over time. And I think DOT has recognized that they've got their methods of communication, and they will certainly use those, but I think they also want to avail themselves of the city's communication methods as well, so that we can make all these venues available and really get the word out so that people aren't surprised by what will be an inconvenience, but hopefully something that will be a much better product when they're done.
Worth it in the long run.
Absolutely.
Huh? Yeah.
Absolutely.
If our viewers want more information about the city's waterline project or about the NCDOT projects, the bridge replacement project and the repaving project, what should they do?
Well, they can. There is the as you mentioned earlier, the Durham Operation greenlight.org. They can go to the website for that. They can also call the city staff, Jim Harding, at 560-4381, extension 35260, will be the project manager for the Waterline project. He can also be reached by email at jim.harding@durhamnc.gov. And then NCDOT's project, they can call 220-4680 for additional information on that. As that project, we know more about it in the coming months and learn more about the details.
Okay, all right. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I did want to mention one other thing. When I failed to mention this when we talked about the impact on bicycles and pedestrians. One of the things that will actually be an outcome of when all is said and done after the repaving, we're going to restripe Main Street as to what's referred to sometimes as a road diet. So rather than 2 lanes in each direction as it exists today from 15th Street to downtown, it'll be 1 lane in each direction with bike lanes. So we're really trying to make the Main Street a more bike-friendly corridor for all the bicyclists that use that street.
I'm sure our cyclist friends will appreciate that.
I think they will.
Okay. Well, we're about to wrap up here, but if there's one thing you'd like to leave with our viewers today about these projects, I wanted to say this project, but actually it's 3 separate projects, what would it be?
Well, you're right. There are 3 projects, and I think we understand that there will be some inconvenience and disruption as these projects unfold over the coming months. I think that the city and NCDOT are going to continue to cooperate and work together as best they can to coordinate these projects to minimize that inconvenience and disruption, and also to do all that we can to get the word out and let people know what the schedule is and when these impacts may be expected to actually affect them. But our goal is to try to compress these schedules into as tight a time frame as possible to minimize that inconvenience.
Okay, well, Mark, very important project. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
All right. Well, that does it for this edition of City Life. If you have a comment or a future show idea, email us at publicaffairs@durhamnc.gov or call us at 560-4123. And don't forget to like DTV8 on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to find out how to tune into this show, City Hall This Week, and all of the city's programming. You can also watch DTV8 on demand on the city's website and on YouTube to stay up to date on all the latest news and events involving the City of Durham. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me to learn more about city life in Durham.